Let's face it, 99% of the AI agents are complete trash. They're just glorified chatbots with hard-coded responses that break when, oh shit, something slightly changed. Now, if you've been struggling to build something that works in the real world and not just science projects, you're not alone. What if I told you that most tutorials that are teaching you how to build AI agents are completely wrong and backwards? In this video, I'm going to expose some of the fatal flaws in most AI agent frameworks. So by the end of this video, you're going to learn how to make a professional flight booking assistant that streams responses in real time, the knowledge to build any kind of AI agent using PydanticAI agent framework, an interface that you can easily customize and remix, and something your users will actually want to use. And of course, the foundation that you can extend for real business application. We'll also dissect videos from Andrew Burkhoff talking about complexities of multi-agents. We'll also hear from the Anthropic team on tips to build AI agents. So make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get notified every time I drop a new video on how you can build easy, reliable AI agents and agentic systems. Now, what is Pydantic? Pydantic was created by the same team behind the Pydantic library, which powers OpenAI's Anthropic and LangChain's SDKs. Now, it's the validation layer used by the biggest names in the AI, and now they've built their own agent framework that makes everything simpler. Now, what makes Pydantic really special? First, type safety. Your agent will be more stable and reliable with proper validation. Another thing I like about Pydantic systems is reflection and self-correction. You've probably worked with agent systems and came across situations where the agent just broke and it stayed in a purgatory error state and didn't know how to get out of it. So Pydantic comes with automatic reflection and self-correction. It checks for validation errors from both function tool parameter validation and structured result validation, and it can be passed back to the model with a request to retrieve. That means your agents will be much more reliable and it can keep on working for you without too much human interference. The second thing I like about the native streaming capabilities with Fast API, and this is something like ChatGPT, you know how it works, just stream automatically line by line. So this actually adds to the user experience. And previously it was a little bit complicated to do this in Python, but now they made it easy and accessible and low code. So which is a no-brainer to start using Python Fast API. Next thing is structured output. It eliminates hallucination. The problem with LLMs, they're always hallucinating, they're unreliable. But when you put structure to it, something like a JSON format, right? It has structure, so it eliminates those hallucinations and forces the responses to have a structure. So in the flight booking assistant that we're going to create today, we are actually going to create a base model structure like flight number, airline price, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to feed all this detail as a base model class so the agent understands, okay, that's how we'll organize that information. And the fourth thing I like is the simple dependency system for integration. You can pass any data or API your agent needs during runtime without complex workarounds. You can also have your tools, which basically the task for the agent created separately, the data classes created separately, and you just inject them into the agent when you build it or during runtime, however you want. So all these facilities just makes building AI agents so easy and streamlined. I'm going to show you the project architecture. I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to create this agent. But more importantly, I want to emphasize the point that you need to understand really this concept and the architecture, not necessarily the coding aspect, because come on, these days the AI coders code better or even similar to the best coders in the world. Now, instead of cobbling together various libraries, templates, nodes, and hard coding things yourself, hoping things would work, you could easily talk to your AI coders to explain how you can create your Pydantic agent. So I want to give you first a demo. This is a real-time flight booking assistant that can search for flights based on origin, destination, and date, recommend appropriate seats based on passenger preference, and remember conversation context for natural interactions. For the purpose of this demo, we haven't connected it to a complete database system. We just have some sample data right here for us to choose, and I can quickly demonstrate how this agent is going to do some function calls. So in Pydantic agent example, they actually give you a multi-agent framework, but I use my AI coder to just convert it to a simple single agent, and it works just as well. What it does some function calls when it needs to book a flight, or search for flights, or when it needs to search for seats, right? It goes in sequence. We also have instructions assigned to this agent so that it knows the order of sequence to follow. We're going to cover all these details, don't worry. So I'd say I want to book flights, but I have a few flights that already predefined in for the example. So we're going to use DFW to Austin. Now, in the real world, you're going to connect this to a database, so it will search through the database. Right now, it's a JSON file with some sample data. So as you can see, it gave me two options. I can either choose one of them and just press the number. It will understand that number 2 is the flight that I'm looking for. As you can see, it remembers context. Great choice. You've selected Southwest to Austin. The flight departs. The prices. Would you like to proceed? Yes. Your booking is confirmed. You have successfully confirmed Southwest. All right. Let's do Dallas to Austin. So as you can see, there are 2 flights here for Dallas to Austin, and it also gives you a recommendation. I recommend the Southwest flight as it is more economical. I can also get seat information, and now it does a function called to get seat information. So for the recommended flight, window seats are located at position A and F. These seats offer a view, a place to raise your head. Would you like to book the window seat on this flight? Yes. Your window seat on Southwest flight has been successfully booked. Safe travels. Okay, so as it's doing this, we have all the logs of the API calls that it does, all the function calls, everything, right? So that is the power of using this coded up system, AI native, completely written by my AI developer, Claude. Don't worry, we're going to do a little bit of code review so I can help you understand each of these components. Don't worry, it's absolutely low code. Data model is labeled, then you have sample data, you can use your own data, etc. Agent setup, tools, user interface. All these things are structured in a nice way so you can follow step by step. And it's a single agent setup, so you don't have to worry about all these multi-agent complexities. Let's talk a little bit about the architecture of this agent or this agentic system. First, we have the PydanticAI agent. This is almost like the worker, or I guess the AI agent, right? It can do these function calls, it can make appropriate determination how to respond, etc. The great thing with Pydantic, it's model agnostic. You could use GPT-O, or you could use a reasoning model like DeepSeek to really think about its responses. Use it based on your use case. You need fast response or slow responses, etc. So the agent, in this case, is equipped with system prompts, some tools it can use to provide the flight information. There's really 3 tools in this setup. One that searches for flights, one that integrates seat recommendation, and the other one that manages state for the agent. Having state is important for the agent to gracefully move on to the next step without having to repeat things over and over again. Because once it understands the person is interested in the flight, it picked a flight, then it can move on to the seat recommendation or any other tools that goes afterwards, right? It has a sequential process. We also have the flight data. In this case, as you can see, we have some sample flights. So as you can see, it's a JSON format flight details that we have as data. And we have something called data model. This is where we tell the AI exactly what we expect it to return. We need a text message from the user, whether flights were found, seat recommendation, whether the user needs to confirm anything, right? So the agent response, as you can see, is converted into a structured format. Now, don't worry, the response isn't returned in that way. It's just a nice layer between the LM until the response gets back to the user. This is a nice little structured layer. And you can actually pass this agent response when you're creating the agent as a result type, right? The other data model that we're using is flight details. So when it's searching for flight, it ensures that it returns back a structured list of information in this format: flight number, airline, price, departure time, arrival time, etc. So imagine it searches your database and it has so many information, or perhaps it searches online. There's a lot of information. Now it needs to put structure to this, and each time it's going to think whether to fill in that information or not, whether that's available or not. If they cannot find one of these information, it will be null or invalid or something like that. And you could specify that in the instructions as well. So in that way, it doesn't hallucinate. And if you've been wondering, that's where most agents fail, because they don't structure the output properly, or they don't use proper data validation systems, okay? Even using something like a multi-agent system is very experimental. And so we just use a single agent with some function calls to get the same result. Let's hear from Andrew Burkhoff.
They are interested in promoting their business, and this is what they say. Um, but talking about multi-agent system, my PhD was in multi-agent system, and so if I understand something in AI, one might say that it's multi-agent system. So the biggest challenge with multi-agent systems and any distribution systems is to debug them. Debugging is hard because it's multiple. When you debug a typical software, I don't know if you have an experience coding. For example, some function doesn't work. The code enters this function and then it crashes. So what do? You run the debugger. You say you put a breaking point in your function and you run the code. The code runs until it reaches the breaking point, then it stops. And then you have this next, like a step by step, where you can execute each command or operation one by one. And by doing this, you also can observe how the values of all variable in the environment, how they change. And this is how, as a human being, you can detect that something is wrong, and this is how you will update your code. Now imagine that you do this for one of your agents, and then 25 others still do something. And you cannot stop, all of them at the same time, okay? So you will, because all of them are independent pieces of software, so they will still operating while you try to debug one of them.
I want to give you Anthropic's take on this as well. And they're in the same line of thinking. Start simple before going complex.
Make sure that you have a way to measure your results. Because I've seen a lot of people will go and sort of build in a vacuum without any way to get feedback about whether their building is working or not. And you can end up building a lot sort of without realizing that it's either it's not working or maybe something much simpler would have actually done just as good a job.
Keep that in mind as you're building these agentic systems. Get started with a Google Colab notebook. Very simple setup and process. I'm going to do a code review along with you. Make sure you grab it now so you can actually use this code or this example to augment Claude or your AI developer to get something similar, okay? And this is exactly how AI coders work. They work great with examples. When you provide examples, you remix code, it's actually easier. When something works, keep using it. Something like flight booking agent, Pydantic agent provides a lot of code here that you can use and run it. So I'm going to link a video where you can see how we created a weather agent using Anthropic as well as OpenAI's model and compared the two agents together side by side to see which one performed well. You might want to watch that one. I also made a video about creating a chat app with Fast API, right? So using all this code right here and creating a simple chat app. Something similar to the app right here, except this one has tool calls or functions, okay? The way I code this up, I take all the code from this code base right here, the Fast API, or the documentation code. If you have the documentation in a PDF format, you could provide that as well as knowledge base. Then I take the flight booking code, right? All this code right here, I give it to Claude and say, create a simple system for me. If you want to do some customizations, include those. And also, in this case, we're running this on Google Colab, so we need a way to stream the output, okay? So we're using a simple streaming example here, so it's low code, not too much front end for us to worry about. And you can literally use their stream markdown code, copy this code, give it to Claude and say, I want the streaming format just like this, right? These three things I use to create the notebook. Now you can just take this code and repurpose it. Okay? So all the code is going to be under agent tools frameworks. You're going to see all the notebooks here so you can quickly use it, repurpose it. We have the knowledge base extractor tool with crawl for AI as well. You can also repurpose that. Also, while you're at it, make sure you look at the chatbot files where we unmask the modern name chatbots. Show you how a lot of people are selling you agents that are actually chatbots. Then you have tools, GPT's agents. Make sure you check out some of the tools. We have visualization coach. This is a GPT trained on Pydantic knowledge base. You can just get the GPT right here. Social media automation copilot. You can set it up to connect with all your make webhooks and schedule and post content. Instant slide maker. This is the slide maker I used to create today's beautiful slide. Okay, if you want to use it absolutely for free, this is my gift to you, my friend. Start learning, start even teaching how to create real AI agents. Okay, all right, so let's get started. So we install all the libraries here. Boom. You're going to run this code, and it's going to install the necessary libraries. As you can see, it's just a very bare bone minimum set of libraries that you need. Pydantic has done a good job really compressing all the code, so you're left with just the bare minimum, which is beautiful. Clear selected output. So this is going to run. Don't worry, this is going to look a little bit ugly right now, but it's working. It's magic, right? You're going to click cancel. Once everything finishes, you see a check mark, so you can just clear the output. You're in business, right? First thing is define the data models. We talked about how providing structure to LM responses makes it more reliable. And this is exactly why we need to define these things. This agent actually searches for flights. Perhaps it searched for a seat recommendation. Perhaps it could get users' information from a database. Anything you can think of, any entity that the agent needs to find out, it needs all this information. So flight details, you can almost imagine it like a table, and these are the specific columns of that table, like flight number, airline, price, departure time, STR, float. This just basically tells the agent that this is a string, this is a number, float is a number, STR is text. So now the agent can basically structure the information. For a long time, this had been the hardest with a lot of open source tools, because the agent would just respond with insufficient information, or it would probably give more information that's needed. This actually puts a lot of structure, something OpenAI uses with its structured output. And then agent response. So what really happens, for example, you ask a question, agent processes the information using the tool calls, using the LM, and it retrieves the flight data. When it receives all that information, it structures that response. When it structures it, it actually kind of like compiles it into a document or a clipboard that it can read out from, right? So you organize it into a nice clipboard for the agent to read out. By strictly defining these outputs, we eliminate hallucination and ensure our agent stays on track. Then we have dependencies. So if you look at the documentation, PydanticAI uses a dependency injection system to provide data and services to your agent's system prompts, tools, and result validators, right? So this is a way where the agent can store specific information for this run, and in this case, the flight details. So it's going to take the available flights, and it's going to store this to reuse for the conversation. I'll make another video on dependencies. You can also include APIs in dependencies as well. So we're going to use some sample flight data now. You can use Perplexity for searching flights online. You can also use your own database, structured or unstructured. Perhaps you can use a vector database to rag the flights to your agent. Everything is possible. So for the purpose of this demo, we're just using the sample data flight details. The next step is really building the agent. Goal is to define clear system prompts. Now this is crucial. It sets the personality, capabilities, and instructions for the agent. For our flight booking agent, we need to instruct it to help users find and book flights, ask for missing information, recommend appropriate seats, maintain conversational tone, always verify before finalizing booking, right? So here's the prompt for the agent, almost like the job description here. A few other things goes into building the agent. You're going to need the model. We're using GPT-4o. You can also reference the dependencies needed for the agent. In this case, we have the booking dependencies. Then we're also going to get the structured response from the agent using result type. So the agent is created. Now the next step is adding the tools. Now in Pydantic, tools are just Python functions that the agent can call. The great thing with Pydantic, it made the tool creation very simple. As you know, with AI agent development, tool creation is probably going to take up most of your time, right? But it's actually the fun part. It actually enables the hands of the agent. It enables the agent to carry out different tasks. And the problem with the previous frameworks or all the other frameworks, they make it really complicated. If you look at the OpenAI tool creation build, you need to put in the schemas and all that kind of extra stuff. Over here, it's just a tool decorator. Specify the agent, specify it's a tool, and right below this, you're going to write the function. And functions are simple Python blocks that basically has an input, process, output. Very simple. So the tools we're going to use are search flight tool, then a get seat info tool, and a manage state tool to track booking process. No more complex schemas, no more tool routing with other frameworks, right? This is really meant to take all the technical abstractions out so you can really focus on the actual build. Last piece is the streaming response. This enables streaming response in Fast API. As you know, Fast API is a direct API connection from your chatbot backend to the front end, so it can stream seamlessly. The speed is remarkable. No animated stuff like you've seen in Streamlit. This is the actual real deal. So in this Google Colab notebook, we're just going to stream directly into the Google Colab environment, and we're going to show you what it looks like when we run this, right? It's going to install everything, and then so we just plug in the API keys, and it's ready to rock and roll, right? This is so in Google Colab, you don't have a lot of front-end code. You can work on the back end. Once you're happy with it, you can still modify the colors here and there, bold yellow, and then you can basically talk to it and make sure your agent runs smoothly. Once you're in a good place, you can take this code, move it over to Replit, add some front-end code, and you can customize it however you want. You can even build out a whole SaaS application with this setup. Okay, now that we've built our flight booking agent, let's talk about some real-world business applications. Customer support automation. You could build agents that answer product questions and resolve common issues. Industry-specific assistance. You can create specialized assistants for legal, medical, or financial domains. Content creation. You can develop agents that generate reports, articles, or marketing material. Education tools that create tutors for various subjects that adapt to student needs. Now, the key advantage of Pydantic is your agent will be more robust, reliable, maintainable, and as you scale, perfect for serious business applications. It's rapidly getting to the point where you can use it for any use case, and it has the whole system completely built up. All the code is already there. If you've come this far and watched this whole tutorial, you might be tempted to drop all the other frameworks, everything you know about AI agents, but trust me, you still need to be cautious when using any frameworks. The best frameworks is no frameworks at all. Start to understand the business problems, start simple, then move to complex. Pydantic does take a lot of abstraction and technical debugging out of the equation. Of course, now with AI Assistant Coder, it's easier than ever before to just create your own AI agent SaaS. Something like these guys like Volt and Lovable doing, they're making autonomous AI agents. Obviously, you need to now start building layers on this agent like memory and context management. And a few other things that Pydantic is also working on is multi-agent orchestration, which is still a little bit experimental. Now, if you've come this far and this was somewhat eye-opening for you, and now you can see the potential of using things like AI-assisted coding, Pydantic frameworks for building better scalable production-ready agents, and of course, traditional automations are not going to work nowadays. Even AI agents that are just rebranded chatbots are not also going to work for you. What you need to now focus on is building agentic AI infrastructure. This contains not only the agent, but the data, the machine learning, and human in the loop piece all together, which is the true promise of AI. So if you're ready to join a forward group of innovators, join the Agentic AI Accelerator group. So remember, while everybody chases the latest AI hype or plays catch up, we have everything you need, all the course and resources with the community to help you succeed and future-proof yourself. Now, if you just want templates, this might not be for you because we're all about building real transferable skills, something that doesn't stop when your subscription ends. Lock in the founder's discount. The link is going to be in the description. Now, here's the hard truth. You've probably seen this. All these big companies are just playing this weird game where they're trying to steal the spotlight. Whose model is bigger, whose model is smaller, whose is locals, who's open source, and all this kind of stuff, right? They're just buying themselves time until they shoo. So as you can see, when they try to give you this shiny agent builder, they're not going to create this master agent, this master algorithm, this master model that's going to solve everything, which is good. That means me, you, your next door neighbor, your grandma can all just pick up a few lines of code, use the Pydantic AI agent framework, and start building an agent, okay? Now, in your path to building your AI agent, you might come across a lot of funny characters, right? That will prevent you from talking to the AI developer or communicating correctly to the AI developer. So pay attention to these things as you are building. You might come across some no-code hunters. I call them the Scooby-Doo villains, like VoiceFlow, who wants a chatbot, then an agent, then a conversational assistant. NNN, who are just rebranding chatbots as AI agents. So you have to be careful and proceed cautiously when you're following this hype. So as you can see, YouTube is a really not a friendly place if you don't do some critical thinking. So maybe it's time for you to break through the matrix. Maybe it's time for you to break through your limiting beliefs. Maybe it's time then for you to unleash the full potential of your AI agents.